Okay, hey everybody. So I've been watching my YouTube videos from the past, and one thing I've definitely noticed is that I talk very quietly, and that is typical of me. I just talk quiet, soft-spoken guy, but it doesn't do too well for YouTube videos. I really have to turn up the sound to hear what the heck I'm talking about. So I apologize for that. I'm gonna do my best to speak up. So here you go. Today this is a treat. So these are the next pocket knives in line, going left to right on these manufacturers that are spread out on my workshop table. Um, but these are I don't know how to quite to say it. Cattaraugus or Cattaraugus pocket knives. And what I have found is that these are pretty darn collectible. The other ones that I've shown, they're neat and interesting, and people are interested in them. And 100-year-old knives and things like that are pretty neat. But these guys are, I feel like, the first of the kind, in pocket knife circles, well-known brands. This cat cat Cattaraugus. Anyways, they are kind of a quick story. My grandfather, when he was collecting these pocket knives, even when I sort of in the 80s, in my teens, I became aware of them because I knew my grandfather was into pocket knives. But even then, everybody knew that case pocket knives were the top. Everybody wanted the case. Those were the collectible knives, cases. And my grandfather was pretty cheap, so he would never, he wouldn't spend a lot of money on a pocket knife. He just would go to flea markets and pay a couple bucks maybe for ones that he liked. And that wasn't the case because everybody knew to collect them and that they were worth a lot and stuff like that. So I do not expect to find any case knives in this collection. I haven't yet. But what I have found out about these knives, that these kind of are case knives because the Cattaraugus company was begun in the 1880s by some people, and some of those people were the people that would go on to make case knives. They would start the case company later on. These guys in the, I forget the exact years, but 1880s, I believe, to 1960s when they stopped existing. So yeah, I don't think that my grandfather knew that. Obviously there was no internet back then, so that he couldn't look them up. But that seems to be the case for these guys, and they're pretty collectible. So I'm a little bit torn on these guys because they're neat knives. They're very collectible. And so part of me is going, should I hold on to these? I'm probably not gonna hold on to them because I just, from the sheer number of knives I have, it wouldn't surprise me if I come along some of these kinds of knives in upcoming in the other knives. So yeah, so I'm gonna do my standard, wipe these guys down, clean them up just a bit, and kind of talk about them. Okay, so one of the other kind of cool things about these is I can get a little bit more information on them because they all have a number. So this one has the number 21476. I found out this is an ebony handle. So that's kind of neat. Pretty nice little like clip blade. Not a lot of there's the Cattaraugus, Littleton, New York. Anyways, there's the number. So 2-blade, Barlow-ish shape. This bolster, I know the bolster kind of comes out a little bit longer, but this one's kind of short. Yeah, nice little, works pretty good still. Not seeing a ton of rust or anything. That's not a great snap up. We'll throw some oil in there, see how it goes. That has half stops. That one works pretty good. Yeah, like I mentioned, my grandfather, I said in other videos, he wasn't cheap, but he didn't spend a ton of money. And the more I thought about it, no, that's not right. He was pretty cheap. Um, but it ended up, being pretty good because he saved his money all the time. Definitely penny saved is penny earned kind of guy, and uh, did not end up, needing money in his old life, as a lot of people in that generation do. They grew up through the Depression, so they saved everything, and they didn't want to spend any money on anything. Um, so yeah. But yeah, that was always the kind of funny thing with all these knives. Everybody knew, he wasn't a knife collector in the sense that he looked for values and then resold them, and he didn't look at them as an investment at all. All he did was go to these places, see something he caught his eye, see something he liked, bought it, sharpened it up, put it in a knife roll. And I've said this before on the channel. He would stick these knife rolls in the body of a piano that they own, a stand-up piano. And his reasoning for that is he thought if anybody broke in, they wouldn't think to look inside the piano for any valuables. And I don't think they ever got broke into. So, yeah, it's a little better. It's not super tight. There's no wobble or anything. But yeah, that's a lot better at least. This one, the pen blade is much better. Yeah, him and his wife, they led a pretty quiet life. Worked for the California Forestry Service, so most of their lives, my father and aunt, they lived in housing that was provided for the Forestry Service. And my father would tell the story about how his father would never let him use pins to hang up posters in their room because it wasn't their house. Can't do that. So he didn't have a lot of posters hanging up. So he used tape all the time. So that was a story from my grandfather, or my father, about my grandfather. I think these bolsters actually might be iron. I could have that wrong. And my grandfather had rubber bands on these guys. Just comes right off. Cool little knives. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get rid of all these guys right away. I might sit on these guys for a little bit. The other knives I've been kind of putting on eBay and just letting the marketplace decide, and just taking whatever ends up being the thing. But these guys are a little bit more well known. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but a little bit more well known and collectible. Ebony wood. There you go for that one. Cool knife. What else? Let's see. I went to one of these flea markets with them once or twice. It's pretty boring. He would walk around in his slow walk, not saying much. And I'm not sure I ever saw him actually buy a knife. But he would go. That's the first one. And he would just, this one looks like it's mother of pearl. I've seen these guys, this is a Congress pattern. I've seen these guys called gentleman knives, which seems pretty apt. This guy, the number, this one's not quite as good a shape. It's still pretty cool. There's kind of a little bit of rust in that nail pull. Come back from the flea market, lay down on the couch and read his books. Till sometimes he would listen to the ball game on the radio. He really liked to read Louis L'Amour Western books. That was his thing when I knew him. And then he would watch, I forget what TV shows he would watch, but we would sit there, watch TV. It was not the most fun. It's not the most fun visiting my grandparents. I gotta be honest. I respected them and I liked them. I have a lot of their genes for sure. I get most of my mannerisms and my low soft-spokenness from that side of the family. So it wasn't a ton of fun hanging around with them, but I don't think it's a ton of fun hanging around with me. So kind of resonated with each other. But back then, when my teens and when I was a kid, definitely wanted to run around and play a lot more than they wanted me to. And I didn't have a ton of interaction with these knives when I was there. I've mentioned before, he would pull them out and kind of show me a little bit when I first was there, but then we're like, all right, that's about it. I do have a story about one knife that I ever kind of had an interaction with, but once I get to that knife in a few months or years, I'll tell that story. But yeah, as far as the rest of the family, we all knew not great. Little kind of sticks in there a bit. But still, no wobble. Still pretty solid. It's another pretty little knife. Mother of pearl. And that guy. This guy is pretty cool. It's got a nice shield and everything. A little bit of a bummer. There's a rust on that guy, on that bolster. Not terrible. Can maybe clean that off. I'm not going to, but the next person that owns these guys can maybe do that. But on all these knives, the handle, there's no chips or breaks or anything like that. It's just solid knives. Main spare point blade. Two, 4, 8, 9. So I think this material, I guess they're calling it stag, but I also seen a lot of these are called worm bone, and that kind of looks like a worm thing. So, so that might be what that is. Doesn't look like it's been used much. I've said this over and over. He didn't buy them to use them. He didn't buy them to collect them. He just bought them. I mean, has 1,000 of them. So, or had, I guess. Kind of, going through all these knives is strange for me because, like I said, I don't have a big history with these guys. Didn't have a lot of interaction with them, but they certainly do hit me with a lot of nostalgia for those days, and starts getting you thinking about time and family. It's very much a representation of how we never really own anything because he collected thousands of these knives and he doesn't own them anymore. So just kind of depressing a little bit, but try to do what you can. Looks like just kind of pitting there. So as I'm dealing with these knives, I get a lot of memories and thoughts and feelings, of course. Gosh, we're going on 16 minutes here. I'll try to step this up. I don't want this to be a massively long video. As I start strolling down memory lane. Yeah, when I knew them, they lived in a town called Carmichael, just outside of Sacramento, California, on Love Way. I love the name of their street, Love Way. That house has since been obviously sold off. And I don't know much about it these days. And well, with my grandfather, started thinking about my own father, which unfortunately is not a good thing. My father had issues. Me and my father had issues. My father did not want me to sell these knives. He asked me one time, if I give you these knives, what are you going to do with them? And I told him I'd probably keep a few and sell the rest. And he didn't really want me to do that. And which I kind of get, but I kind of don't get, because my father just kept these in this plastic tub in the back room of his house the whole time, and that was it. So I'm actually doing a lot more with these knives than he ever did. So I don't know. I feel a little bit guilty, but not too much for selling these off. And rather than go to a home where somebody really appreciates them than sitting in a plastic tub. I don't think my daughters are gonna really want them, but it's the other reason I'm doing this channel is that, who knows, my daughters might be interested in them, so they can look up where they were. Boring family drama stuff on the YouTube Pocketknife channel. Sorry, I'm drifting off the screen here. Trying to get rid of this masking tape stuff. pretty good. Big old main blade. I mean, these all to me look like 1940s knives. This one's real solid. It's got that rust is about the only bad part about it, but no wobble. Kind of sharp. Looks like it's been sharpened a little bit here and there, but kind of half stops. Nice tight, good snap, nice weight. All right, so this one is a real interesting guy. This one's a 42219C. It looks like a Boy Scout knife. I guess the C designation means it's not a Scout knife, because the 42219 was a Boy Scout knife and had a compass on it, and this one doesn't. And the 42219 also had one of those rings. I forget what they're called. So I guess if they still have a compass in there, they're worth a whole heck of a lot. So this probably is not worth quite as much, but still a super decent, nice knife. It's clip blade, cigar shape, clip blade here on the main blade. Cattaraugus. Good snap, real tight. This little guy with this little ball for easier opening. It's cute. Definitely the not talking thing. That's a gene I definitely, and talking low is definitely a gene I inherited from my grandfather and father. So, I guess that was kind of a joke in the family, that just people on that side of the family in general were just real low talkers, not real exciting, didn't do much. I feel my father was a little bit of a rebel, just because some of his antics he would do. He wasn't crazy or anything, but he would do funny stuff. My father was a rule breaker in some ways. If he wanted to go fishing in a spot where the sign said no fishing allowed, he would just go fishing anyways. That kind of rule breaker. He wasn't out there breaking the law, and as far as like stealing things or anything like that. He was just, if he wanted to do something, he would do it. That was a little tough. This leather punch here. Kind of interesting. Whenever I talk about my father to other people, I find that most people don't have the best relationship with their father. They're like at the range of, yeah, my father's pretty bad, to, my father was just my father. We didn't really speak a whole lot. So I find that kind of just sad. I don't know. He tried, but would fail more often than not. He did some things just before he passed away that really made me angry with him. So he kind of made me angry and then checked out of life, which of course made me angrier. So I try to think of him in a good way. He's not, he's passed away. He doesn't have a way of defending himself or anything, so I shouldn't talk bad about him, but it is what it is. Anyway, back to pocket knives. Yeah, case. Yeah, even back then, I think I asked, "Oh, do you ever collect case?" Oh, no. Those are too expensive. We don't do that. Part of me thought about using the proceeds of these knives to buy some case knives. I understand that from what I read and heard, though, the quality of case knives have gone really downhill. So I don't know. And I'm pretty sure these are bone handles. Yeah, I guess if you buy the high-end case knives, they're good, but then they have a lot of low-end knives that aren't great either. So kind of a bummer. But the older case knives are super collectible. This one's looking real nice. This is a great knife. I don't see really any rust. Real solid. That was a solid knife. Probably my favorite out of these bunches of knives. This kind of made me laugh. Tried to sell it for $1.50. Pretty darn certain it's worth a lot more than that. Another bone handle knife, I think. Yeah, so this seems like a pretty valuable knife. This one right here, from my research on the interwebs. Not really any rust on this guy. Not a whole lot I need to do. 2-blade knife. Pen knife here. Yeah, if you guys, anybody sees these and wants me to, got any tips or pointers other than speak up, because I already know that one, let me know. Kind of run, I think I'm 20 knives in, 20 out of 1,000. So I'm kind of running out of stuff, thoughts of what to say here. Just talking about these beautiful knives here. Yeah, these guys are a real find, I think. None of the handles are broken or chips. This doesn't, this barely looks used, if at all. It's always kind of weird. You want to say, oh, the previous owner really loved them, and and I think my grandfather did love these knives, but like I said, he would just buy them and stick them in the knife rolls and kind of forget about them. So he loved them in that way, but he was never. He only brought them out if I asked him to. It's not like he would come out and go, "Hey, check out this new knife" or anything like that. And he would just have them. Man, this one's a cool knife. A lot of these are surprising. You think, just standard pocket knife. And then you kind of shine them up a little bit, and man, I'm not even doing any restoration, and it's looking real pretty. I don't know. I probably shouldn't call pocket knives pretty. Got half stops, a little spear point blade. Real solid. No wiggle. Good snap. I know. This could be a contender for the most valuable pocket knife in the collection so far. So far, the most valuable knife that I've come across that I've shown on on this channel is the Hibbard Revanok. That was the last video I just made. Put that up on eBay, and boy, a lot of people went pretty nuts over that guy. So we'll see if any of these beat that one. Another nice knife, good snap open. Yeah, not the best snap, but I think a little oil will solve that one. Good old clip point on this main blade. A little bit better. Penknife. Warncliffe shape, I guess. And I believe this is a Stockman pattern. Pretty cool. Pre-case case. These are all real solid, nice knives. Even the one with rust on it. I'd be real tempted to try to buff that rust out of there. Tempted. I'm not gonna do it, but whoever that ends up with, I could see buffing that out and having a solid knife. And not a great snap on that one, but we'll see. Yeah. A little smaller knife. It's still pretty cool. A bit better. So Cattaraugus, made in New York. Pretty cool find. Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching the whole way through. Pretty neat. I like these knives a lot. They're real nice. A bit kahuna there. Okay, there you go. Thanks for watching. Everybody take care.